Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah, yeah, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better life. Know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. Can mine, can mine. How can mine your energy? That's right. How can mine say? Only you can make the change. How can mine shine your head at you? How can mine shine so bright from darkness to light. Hey, 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 hey. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it won't seem way out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
Welcome. This is Alchemizing Energy, and today we have a special guest, Oloye Adeyela. She is an author, speaker, and a humanitarian. And today we are going to be discussing the role of the mothers in creation, and discussing the Iyami. But she says that they don't like to be called the Iyami. But we're gonna go deeper into that. They don't like to be called by their name, so we're gonna find out more information about that. There seems to be some kind of a feedback. I'm not sure if there's like a something playing in the background, but we'll figure that out. Without further ado, I would like to welcome to Alchemizing Energy, Oloye Adeyela. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. So, you are Iya Obatala, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. And how long have you been in the tradition?
I was first involved with the Osera Set Society. Are you familiar with that that group? That
Yeah,
spiritual
SAR
organization?
set. Yes, definitely,
Yes.
definitely.
So when I went to Howard University for graduate school in 1984, I saw a flyer saying there's a Kwanzaa program. And so my boyfriend and I both said, "Ooh, Kwanzaa, that sounds African. Let's go check it out." So
Right.
we went to the Kwanzaa program. A priest from Osera said poured libation, and I just went into another zone. You
Mm.
understand me? And after the program, I went to him. I said, "What did you do? I just like felt like I left my body. What did you do?" And he said, "If you want to learn more, come to our class on Saturday." So that Saturday now would be January 1st or 2nd. There, January 2nd, 1985. January 2nd, 1985. Same thing happened. They poured libation, and again, I was gone. This time, I was gone for hours. Seeing myself fly over the world, seeing myself in Kemet, ancient Egypt, seeing myself in other lifetimes and having other experiences. The humans left there were very concerned because I was speaking in a foreign language. They couldn't understand me. I knew what I was saying, but nobody could understand me, and I couldn't get myself to speak English. And then eventually, after hours, I came out of it. They were saying they were going to call the paramedics because they weren't sure what was happening. But before the paramedics could get there, I was back. I was speaking English. Not that much. I figured out that if I didn't talk, they would leave me alone because it was the
Mm.
speaking where the foreign part came out. So that was my first exposure to African spirituality, was with the Osera Society. I ended up marrying a Yoruba priest, Akindele Akinde from Ondo State in Nigeria. We met in Washington D.C. Also. He ran a temple called the Yoruba Temple of Spiritual Elevation and Enlightenment with Mother Pamela Taylor, and
Mm.
we had a baby, Ayinola. When she was born, we had her 7-day Esentaye ceremony, and Ifa said that she had to be raised strictly as a Yoruba, and that which was cool with me, but that her mother had to raise her as a Yoruba. I'm like, he's the Yoruba. Why am I the one?
Right. How am I supposed to do this? Right. How
So
is this
that
supposed to even happen? Right.
yes, that put me in the position where I had to understand, where I had to learn about Yoruba spirituality, Yoruba culture. Oh, so that was she was born in January. She was born in February 1989. So February 1989, when she was 7 days old, was my introduction, I suppose, my formal, like, you got to be a Yoruba now. Although back in college at the University of Florida, I studied Yoruba as my foreign language. You know, other people studied Spanish and French. And I said, "Ooh, Yoruba, that sounds Africa." I was very fascinated. I didn't know anything about Africa, but I knew I was fascinated with it. Oh, that language sounds African. Let me check that out. I was a horrible Yoruba student. I still am in terms of the language. I can't get that tonal thing. That's because I can't sing. Singers can get Yoruba because you can go up and down like that, right? So that was actually my first introduction, was in 1980 at the University of Florida when I took that Yoruba language class. But so I had NOLA, and I started studying. I started going to the Yoruba temple every Sunday to get their participate in their services. Although, well, I won't get into that. I was initiated to Obatala in 1996, February 19th, 1996, through my ex-husband. Akindele Akinde is now my ex-husband. Through him, I met Chief Dr. Omotosho Eloyemi, who was the Apena of Ife. And so he initiated me in Miami. And my Ajabona was a Shango priest from Jamaica called Obaye, and they initiated me to Obatala in 1996. And then says that you got to go to Nigeria, you got to go to Ife, you got to go to Ile Ife. And so July 1999, I went on a pilgrimage to Ile Ife, which is considered the source, the birthplace of humanity, the birthplace of civilization. And so I went on this pilgrimage with Chief Omotosho Eloyemi. I was initiated to Romala. And after the initiation, after going to Igbodu and going through that whole process to become a priest of Romala, Ifa said, you need to go to the Obatala temple. So I went to visit the Obatala temple, and that's now July 1999. And that's when I was given the title Iyala J Obatala, Ni Ife. I want to speak to that because I was supposed to go back the next year to complete the ceremonies. I never went back. Really, really bad. And this year it came to a head where now I have to go back. It's been 27 years. And they're like, time's up. You need to come back. So I'm now in touch with the Obalesun, with other kings in the Obatala temple, other priests, and they are teaching me more, doing divination for me, Ebo for me, to get me caught up with all those years that I wasn't coming back to the temple in Ife like I should. So here I am now.
So how important is it to constantly go back to, I guess, is this like a refresher, or like to get like those things done when you get initiated?
Yes. Well, now, of course, everybody doesn't go to Ife. Everybody doesn't go to Nigeria, right? Some people get initiated in Cuba, Venezuela, Brazil, Miami, New York, and wherever you go. Wherever you go to get initiated, you should maintain a relationship. The relationship should be tight. It's something that you should be involved with often, on a regular basis. So whether that's, if you're in the same city, there's no reason why you can't do it every week or every month. If you're far away on another continent, as I am, then annually is the standard. But of course, the Orisha understand that we have human obligations. We can't always go back every year, but certainly every 2-3 years would be acceptable. I did 27 years. So I'm beyond the acceptable level, but they are bringing me up to speed very quickly.
Keeping you up to speed on what you need. So, okay. What led to you to study and teach about the mothers and their place within the Yoruba spirituality?
Yeah, it's a topic I'm very passionate about, very fascinated about. I have been for a long time. Last year, I produced a video on my YouTube channel, which is Oloye Adeyela. On my YouTube channel, I produced a video about the creation. And I also wrote an article on my website, which is womanistjourney.com, about the creation story. And And of course, center of the story is Oludumare, who is our creator, who is the creator of us here on Earth. But I feel that oftentimes the stories are told and also told about how Batala came down from heaven on an iron chain and made the earth palatable for humans and also formed our bodies. So people tend to know those stories. But, like most people, I grew up in the Christian church where we talk about God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. And that never sit right with me. So you have all these male entities, because the Holy Ghost is considered male also. You have all these male entities creating beings and being the divine beings. And that just that's not logical to me. So that's why it's something I always questioned. Like a woman has to be involved in creation, because we know that as above, so below. So what's ever happening here on earth has already happened in the heavenly realms, which we call in Yoruba, Ile Orun. And so I started doing research to find out where's feminine energy. Now, of course, we know Oludumare is a spirit. Oludumare has no gender, even though people refer to Oludumare as with the masculine. Oludumare has no gender. It's a spirit. It has no vagina. It has no penis. It has no uterus. It has no balls. It is a spirit. And so it has no gender. It has no race. So so Oludumare is not black or white. It's not he's not only the creator of the Yorubas, but of all humanity, right? All humanity. Oludumare has no religion. So Oludumare is not Isheshe. Oludumare is not Lukumi, Candomblé, Santeria, Voodoo, Saraset, Christian, Muslim, Jew. Oludumare has no religion. Oludumare just is. But Oludumare gave the authority for creating the earth realm where we live. So we live on Ile Aye. This is the earth realm. There are many other realms. We spoke about Ile Arun, which is what we say loosely is heaven. It's not really even heaven, but it's the realm above us. And there are many, many other realms, many dimensions, many things going on in the universe, right? It's a very complex place, the universe. But Oludumare gave the full authority to the earth realm to the mothers.
So let's talk about understanding the mothers. When we use the term the mothers, who exactly are we talking about?
The primordial beings. Yes, you can say Iami, but it's just not good form to be saying it all the time. But Iami simply means my mother, right? Iami simply means my mother. But it's a general conversation when we're referring to these primordial beings. We don't do that. Their full name, one of their names is Iami Osorongo. We definitely don't go around saying Osorongo because you don't want to invoke that energy all the time, because they are loving. They are our creators. They're like a mother, but they can be punitive in nature. And the thing is, most of us are not living in what Yorubas call Iwa Pele. Iwa Pele is having a good character, having a balanced character, having a humane character. I dare say having a divine character. And so the Yemi has the full authority to punish anyone here on this earth plane or to uplift anybody. Yemi has the full authority from Oludumare to love on anybody. I know in the Christian church, they used to say, favor ain't fair. Favor ain't fair. That's what they say here in the South. In Alabama, where I am, favor ain't fair. So the EME has the authority to embrace on anyone. And you may think that person is good, or you may think that person is bad, but the EME has the full authority to love on or to punish as they see fit. So you don't want to invoke them if you are not confident that you are living in Iwa Pele at all times. Because they're like human beings in that there are days when they say, you know what, it's a good day and I'm going to bless the earth. I'm going to bless the earth. And it's arbitrary and it's their choice, but it's based on, of course, the principles of Iwa Pele. There are days when they say, you know what, I am just so sick of these people down here. I'm just sick of them. I'm sick of the plants and the animals. I'm sick of everything here. And they can be tumultuous. So
Right. Wipe it
you
all out, wipe it on out, then be
exactly.
gone.
Yeah, so you want to invoke them if you're confident that you're living in balance with Iwa Pele.
So, what role did the mothers play in creation according to Yoruba cosmology?
Okay. So there are several Odus that speak about creation. We have Ajiogbe, which is the first Odu, the senior Odu. Ajiogbe used to be the baby of the Orisha. It used to be number 16, but because of Iwa Pele, because of respect for Ludamare, for Oromala, um, the baby actually ended up becoming the senior Odu. So A.G. Ogbe speaks about creation. The Odu, though, that I like to refer to the most is Osagunda. It has Osa on the right and Ogunda on the left. And in that Odu, it talks about a time before time, a time that we can't even imagine. This is before we had the earth, it's before we had planets, before we had stars, before we had the moon, before we had air, before we had water. So this is primordial time, time before time as we know it. And at that time, Elafuaye existed. And Elafuaye is the mother of the mothers. She's the mother of the Iami, Elafuaye. Um, she's the mother of Akamara. Akamara is a name that you will hear also referred to as the mothers. She's the mother of them all, and just existed. We don't even know how long. We don't know how long, but one day, and it wasn't a day. Of course, these things that to us as human beings, we may say it's a day, but it's these things that take place over millions of our years, right? Or it could have taken place in a second. But we had the Big Bang. Scientists with the National Aeronautics Space Administration, NASA, has timed that at 13.8, about 13.8 million years ago. That's what we had, what's called, scientists call the Big Bang. And that's when she decided to break open. Like an egg, she decided to break open. When she broke open, everything came out. Moisture came out, blood came out, plasma came out. Later on in time, the planets were formed, the stars were formed, gases were formed, water was formed. So you see that before time, we had the mothers. The mothers existed before time. So that's it. I mean, as a woman, I know that I see from social media that you have a child, that your first sign that this baby's coming, and if you had a natural delivery, is that your water bag bursts. And so that's like LFUIA bursting open and creating the stars, the moons, and all of the planetary beings and water. And that's it. So she's the mother of it all. The EME are the mothers of us all. We are all their children, whether you are Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native, Indigenous, European, wherever you are, we're all mothers, including the plants and the animals and the planetary systems. We're all children of the EME.
So, why could creation not be completed without feminine power?
Because we're it.
And how are the mothers connected to fertility, childbirth, nature, destiny, and the continuation of life?
That's a very good question. So the mothers keep our planet and the planets, but particularly IA. The mothers are are in charge of this planet that we live on, Earth. They are in charge of that, and they control the moon and they control the stars. So we know that our fertility level rate changes depending on the vibration of the moon, the location of the moon, whether it's waxing or waning. We know that affects our body. We know that affects our emotions. It affects our fertility. The very ground we walk on is the earth, is Mother Earth. So we can't even breathe without the influence of Mother Earth. We can't
It's
exist.
interesting. Someone's talking about in Hebrew, Aleph is air, Shin is fire, Mem is water, and Mem Sofit is like earth. So Mem Ioke, water and earth. So Mem is Ioke, water and earth. So that's in Hebrew. So it seems like they got like some similarities in beliefs. I think that a lot what people are going to find out the more that the Yoruba pantheon comes out is that all this stuff that they thought was really spooky is really the same thing.
Absolutely. I mean, everything. In Christianity, there's the Bible, the Old Testament speaks about Noah and the destruction of the earth by water. Well, indeed, our Odu, Ifa Odu, talks about that. How the original, we that you see, you and I, are not the original beings. There really were some beings here before us. And they were tall, gigantic, powerful beings with when the Bible talks about made in the image of God, they are made like the Orisha. They had the power to create storms, volcanoes, tornadoes, to create life. So they had these original beings were very, very powerful. Unfortunately, they didn't have the moral compass. If you want, they didn't have the Iwa Pele. So they didn't have the Iwa Pele that the second time around, Oludumare and the mothers made sure that we have that moral compass of Iwa Pele. We have our Ori to tell us what's right and what's wrong. So these beings were just doing very good things, not good things. And Oludumare looked and said, I am so tired of it. I am just so tired of them and the destruction that they're doing. And flooded the earth. So the earth was flooded. And that is why 75% of the earth is still water to this day. And so when Obatala came down later, and Oludumare says, okay, let's give this a try again. Let's try this again. Since he tasked Obatala was coming down from earth with an iron chain. And that iron chain represents the iron in our blood. Came down on an iron chain that was representative of the placenta. We all come from the placenta. It was all muddy. It was all swampy because of all the water that had been used to flood. Some of those beings did not die. Some of them escaped and still live in the mountains today, still live in the valleys today, still live in the ocean. But anyway, Obatala had to come and brought sand with him. So you may know the story that Obatala came down with a conch shell, with a shell with sand and a hen and a chameleon. And so he poured that sand. Wherever that sand landed, we now have dry land. You put the hen down, and the hen spread it around the sand. And then you put the chameleon down, and the chameleon walked slowly and carefully to make sure the land was solid. And so that's how we have the solid land. But Aye herself sometimes would complain about her children, her creations, would complain about us because, we're stubborn, we don't listen, we're disrespectful. And she was complaining to Oludumare about her creations. The Odu Irete Osa speaks about that. And Oludumare got so tired of the complaint, Oludumare hit the earth, and the dry land scattered. And that's how we ended up with the continents. So originally we were all together. You have seen maps where Africa was part of Asia. I mean, everything was together. But with that splintering of the separation of the land, now we have continents. And that's how we came up with continents. So everything is interconnected. You see this, what I'm telling you, you can find in other spiritual scriptures that are not Yoruba. But Yorubas, Africans in general, are particularly very secretive. Everything is a mystery, very sacred. And so our version doesn't get out there. Other religions are much more aggressive about putting their version out there in history. The whole thing in Christianity of the virgin birth. Mary was not the first and not the last woman to have a miraculous birth. Throughout history, Oshun herself in the Yoruba tradition gave birth to Eshu. Our Odu Osei Tura talks about that, how she self-procreated Eshu. And the Tano Arawak people of the Bahamas and the Caribbean, now they're mostly in Puerto Rico. They have a goddess Atabe who self-procreated twins. In the Kemetic tradition, we have Osset, whose husband was killed by his evil brother, and she gathered the pieces of her husband's body and had sexual relations with his penis. And that's a self-procreation because the husband was dead. There was no semen coming out of him. And created Heru, who the Greeks have changed his name to Horus. So throughout history, there are stories of women having self self procreation, creating other beings without the assistance of men. But we all know about the Jesus story and the Virgin Mary, which is beautiful. But that's a recent phenomena in history because it's been happening throughout antiquity.
So some stories, did you get to talk about the stories about the masculine forces attempt to create the world without including the feminine power and how that happened?
Yes, that's yes, that is an important part of the history. So, Oludumare sent certain beings to the earth, and Irumale, they are the original beings. Included among there was Ogun, and Ogun's job was to J, JJ Ogun's job was to break through, to be like a pioneer, to break through the jungles, to break through all the obstacles. So Ogun is so important in our lives for breaking through those obstacles. And then Orumala came, and Orumala's job was Jayun, which is to eat. And and this is a spiritual eating to absorb the knowledge. That was Orumala's job. And Obatala's job, we know, is Obatala was known as Mui Mui, and Obatala is the one to drink the water because the earth was, as you know, flooded with water. Drink the water. So Bata comes down the gold chain, the iron chain, or through the placenta, and comes to Earth, forms the Earth. We talked already about how he formed the Earth, and molds the human beings. A Oludumare tasked Obatala with molding human beings, and so he molded us. Originally, I think there were many more many humans were created at the same time, but it still wasn't enough. And Obatala got tired and asked his assistants to help with the molding of the human beings. Obatala went to sleep. Obatala remembers is as an old man, so he got tired and went to sleep, left his younger assistants to finish the job. Unfortunately, or fortunately, as destiny should have it, some people were malformed, and so we have cripples in the world. We have autism in the world. We have people who don't have, and in fact, none of us have perfection in our bodies. No one single person has a perfect body, right? All of us have our little aches and pains and idiosyncrasies. And that is because, Batala fell asleep and left his assistants to finish the job. But anyway, so we have these forces of nature, these Iromale, Jakuta, which is an ancient form of Shango, the ritual form of Shango. And Oshun was the only a female energy to come down from heaven, from Ile Orun. Oshun was the only one. And so they would leave her behind, and they would say that she's too small, she's not strong enough, she's not smart enough, and they would leave her behind as they go to explore this land and to populate this land. And well, they couldn't populate it without her, but to explore it and to set it up. If you think about Star Wars, when you look at Star Wars and other movies like that, where the spaceship comes and it needs to see what we got here and check it all out. So they were checking it out, but leaving her behind and saying that her job was just to cook. You can go and find some small animals to cook. You can go find some berries to cook, and left her behind to do that. But she was an equal. Women have always been equal to the man, if not more. So they were exploring, doing their exploration, and not having any success. And they're like, this is so weird because we have explored other lands. We've explored other planets. Why is this one so difficult? Earth was different. Why is this one so different to settle? And so they went to Oludumare and said, Oludumare, why are we having such a hard time? And Oludumare's like, so I see you, Ogun. I see Obatala. I see Orumala. I see you, Jakarta. Where is Oshun? And they're like, oh, well, we left her behind. And Oludumare said, that's the problem. You are on Earth, which is controlled by the mothers, but you leave the mother behind. You leave the one woman behind. She has to be integrated. Nothing's going to happen. You won't have joy. You won't have fertility. You won't have happiness. You won't have success. You will not have progress without integrating the woman into what you're doing, without integrating Oshun. So they went back and said, Oshun, we're so sorry. Faribale, Oshun, what can we do? And Oshun said, I'm here. And now that you give me some respect, I will let the waters flow. I will let the plants grow. I will let even the animals produce. I will use my ashe to make this place flourish. And so you can see how bountiful the earth is, right? In my yard, there's so many trees. There are fruit trees, vegetable trees. They're just growing. I live in Alabama. It's a very, very beautiful place for foliage. Rivers flowing, ocean, trees, birds. I mean, it's just a beautiful place, and that's because of Oshun. So I told you how Oshun, though, said, you know what, these men are going to try to leave me out again. This is going to happen again. And so she consulted Oludamare and said, what should I do? And she got the formula, and she self-procreated Eshu. And so Eshu now is her representative among the men. And Eshu is always there. You can't get anything done in Ifa or in life without the crossroads, without giving some OT, giving some rum or some gin, giving some Epo or palm oil to Eshu. Eshu is always there at the crossroads of life and helping you decide, should I go this way? Should I go that way? Should I make this move? Will this bring me luck? Because that's what we want, right? We want luck. We want husbands. We want wives. We want children. We want money. we want happiness. We want good health. We want long life. We want fertility and prosperity. And Eshu is the one that you have to go to get any messages to Oludamare, to get any messages to the mothers, to get any messages to the Orisha. It is through Eshu that we must go. And he's a direct product of Oshun. So even though the men have tried to still leave her out, her son Eshu is there representing her. And same way in the Kemetic story, Horus, Heru, the son, Sun, is there representing Osset. In the Tano Arawak community, Atabe gave birth to a son. So the first female Iramali to come gave birth to sons first. Because of course, then we were able to get with the male and female. The story goes in Ifa that some of the first beings that were created, they didn't think in sexual terms. They were pure beings of light, right? They didn't think in sexual terms. But Eshu came and says, ooh, look, he's got something you don't have. Ooh, look, she's got something you don't have. And they're like, ooh, yeah, that looks good. Eshu is always pictured with his penis up, right? He's always thinking in a sexual manner. And so that's, of course, that's one of the ways we got more human beings, because they copulated, were able to produce more human beings. But more human beings were also made by Obatala and his team.
So why is it dangerous for a society or a spiritual community to ignore, silence, or disrespect the feminine authority?
Tell you, going on in the Yoruba community right now is what appears to be a disrespect of some women chiefs specifically from the diaspora. And we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, but we know that there will be an outcome of it. And we know that may not be a pleasant outcome. But women, we too are responsible for having Iwa Pele. We too are responsible for following the rules of Osa Eleye. So we know that this year, June, the beginning of June of 2026 until the next June 2027, we know this year is governed by Osa Eleye. And we know that it means that men must respect the mothers, men must respect women, men must respect their girlfriends, men must respect elderly women, especially elderly women, because elderly women really have the ashe of the mothers. So we all know that. But women, likewise, we have to respect, because when we function in a bodacious, arrogant, egotistical manner, our Ori is not happy with that. Our spiritual head is not happy with it. And we're offending other people's Ori too, right? Everybody has Ashe. Everybody. That mailman, that milkman, that lunch lady at work, that lunch lady at the school, that teacher, the nurse assistant, the receptionist, the CEO, the president, everybody has Ashe, because everybody has Ori. And so we want to act in a manner that will make their Ori says, wow, that was a nice young lady. I really like how she talks to me. I like the respect that she's giving me. And likewise, your Ori is like, wow, I am proud to sit on this body. I am proud to sit on this body, because she is so kind. She's looking out for others. She is showing wealth. We think of wealth in terms of money. Yes, we need money to survive on this earth plane, but wealth is also in terms of the respect that you give other people. Wealth in terms of, are you making this world a better place? Are you, a few years ago, there was this young man um, who died, who was shot by the police, assassinated by the police. And then the story comes out that he was paying off the lunch bill for all the students in the cafeteria. So, even though he had that tragic ending, that I bet you, though, his children will have a more favorable life, that he will have a favorable life in Ilayaronan when he returns, because he has built up a lot of capital from being good, just being good and not expecting anything in return. Giving somebody $10 to pay their, sometimes we're in line at Chick-fil-A. I don't know if you have Chick-fil-A where you live, but my daughters used to love Chick-fil-A. After I have twins, and after school they would love to go to Chick-fil-A and get that lemonade and those waffle fries. And sometimes a person before us would just pay, tell the lady, here's an extra $20, whatever they want, pay for them. It's like, just be kind for the sake of being kind. And you will have the rewards of peace, of long life, of health, of prosperity, not just for yourself, but for your children and your children's children, right? My grandmother I'm from the Bahamas, as I mentioned, and my grandmother was always cooking food for other people, taking food for the sick and shut in, taking food for everybody. And I was like, Mama, I said, little girl, Mama, if you give away all our food, how are we going to have food? You're going to give all our food away. And Mama says, no, I give away food so that you will always have food. And let me tell you, all of her generations, we always have food. We ain't got nothing else. We got some food. We have food and we have some place to live. And we have hope for tomorrow.
Sure.
Just doing good makes the world a better place and puts you in a good standing with the mothers.
So does the power of the mothers only exist in women, or can men also carry access or be affected by that power? Earlier I was talking to you about this video that came out on TikTok, and I was going to play a little bit of it. And it was, I think it was a business. There's people that are talking about it now. I'll play a little bit of it. And let me know what you think.
Hi, terrorists. So I know that you have mythology and the Yoruba, Igbo, whatever traditions. Anyone, Santeria, whatever cult or whatever organization or group you want to be part of. You know Oshun, right? You know Oshun. So you have a mythology that says that she turns into a peacock and she flies to the sun. Do you see this? Do you see this here? Do you see this here? This is a
The music
male
is funny.
peacock feather. So if this is the image of Oshun, that means that she turns into a male peacock. So Oshun is trans.
What?
So you and your ancestors have been honoring a trans Orisha. I don't give a crap if it's another species, because this is where your mental illness comes in. Not only are you terrorists towards my people, my transcendent Tlamana, Nakle, Kachkani Rakmi, transcendent sovereign beings, you're also anthropocentric.
Anyways, what is your thoughts on that? That was pretty intense. That got very interesting. But it's with the. I'm gonna let you talk. I was about to say some crazy stuff. So I think you're probably a little bit more level-headed than I am. But you're on mute. I'll unmute you. You have to unmute. There you go. Now I can hear you.
There are 256 Odu in Ifa. And as a priest of Ifa and a Fobatala, That's what I have to speak from, right? These Odu. There are 256 Odu. Each Odu has hundreds of verses. So I don't think anybody knows everything that Ifa says. Ifa existed during primordial times. Ifa has always existed. So Ifa is the historic record of everything that has ever happened on this planet, this our universe. Ifa is the record of that. So I don't know all of the. Nobody knows everything that Ifa says. But the Odu that is most closely associated, one of the Odus that's most closely associated with Oshun is Osameji, Osa Eleye. And there is a story about a bird, but the bird is a vulture. It's not a peacock. I'm not familiar with it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I'm not familiar with it. But what I am familiar with is that Oshun is a feminine energy. It is a female energy. Oshun originally, of course, was an Iromale, and the whole. I just finished telling you the story about how the male Iromale, Obatala, Oromala, Ogun, Jakuta left out Oshun. Oshun was distinctly feminine, so that is what I could speak to. That's in Osa Eleye. That's also in Osa Gunda. That's also in Oshetura. So there are many Odu, many Odus that speak about Oshun being a woman. I've never seen Odu speaking of Oshun as trans. Now we do have Orisha whose quote unquote sexuality is ambiguous, right? So there's Obatala, who is my Orisha, who is a male, and that he's very close to his wives, one of them being Yemu. And so sometimes people say, oh, Obatala is a woman because of Yemu. Yemu is his wife. And Yemu is actually, Obatala took some power from the Ajay. The Ajay is the other word for the mothers or the elders of the night. Took some power from them, took some Ashe from them, and gave to his wife Yemu. And so sometimes people think that they are interchangeable, Obatala and Yemu. So there's a lot of talk about Obatala being fluid. Do I dare say that Shango Kabiesi wears these beautiful braids, very colorful clothing? So there is Kabiesi, who's very beautiful. To me, that's more peacock-like, if anything. Just always very pristine. But I'm not familiar in my more than 30 years, since 1980, studying Yoruba as a language. Since 1980, that's been a lot of years. I've never heard any mention of Oshun being male or trans. I give all respect, though, to trans beings, all respect. But I'm just not at all familiar with any Odu that can confirm that.
There are other beings, Orisha, that are trans, like that have like that dual nature. I think Olokun, when they talk about Olokun, that has like that kind of a masculine and feminine nature. And that's probably one of the most feared Orisha, Olokun.
Yeah, Olokun is a male energy, but yes, people. Olokun is a male energy. He has his daughter Ajay and his daughter also Yemanja. So sometimes the stories go wives or daughters, depending on which Odu you're reading. But so he's accompanied by Ajay, the mother of wealth, and which is different from Ajay, the mothers of the night. So these deities these Orisha are accompanied by both male and female energies. Olokun, Olokun and Ajay, and Yemanja, Obatala, and Yemu, Shango, and Oya. Let's see, Orumala and Oshun. So all of them have their male and female counterparts. But anyway, at the end of the day, they began as spirits. So they began as spirits, but they did walk. Most of these entities, Irumale did, Orisha definitely walked on earth. So the Orisha definitely were human beings who walked on earth in either a male body or a female body. I haven't read anywhere in Ifa that says it was a
Oh
woman who
shoot!
became a man or a man that became a woman. I just haven't read it. And my
And
studies,
but I heard that the peacock there was a peacock that flew, and the closer it got to the sun, the feathers died, and then it looked like a vulture when she finally reached heaven. Because the sun had burnt the wings off of it, or
yeah, it could be.
something along that lines. But
There
I
is
don't know them. I'm not gonna pretend like I know everything. So,
a
um,
story.
so that's a story that I hear in Lugumi a lot. Why are the mothers so frequently associated with witchcraft, punishment, darkness, or fear? And do these negative perceptions originate within traditional Yoruba culture, or were they intensified by colonialism, Christianity, Hollywood, and Western interpretations?
Definitely, Hollywood has done a number on us, and Nollywood, Nollywood itself has done a number. The mother should be feared, right? The mother should be feared. Even in the human realm, we have those mothers who are there. I was raised by a group of mothers. I was raised by my mother and a grandmother and her sisters. And I have one Auntie May, that I trembled in her presence, right? I trembled in her presence. On the other hand, I had Auntie Sylvia, who's very sweet and nurturing. Oh, come here, Sharon. My birth name was Sharon. Sharon, come here. Let me give you some candy. My grandmother was always putting money in my hand. Addie Millie, always like, you better watch it or I'm going to tell your uncle. So it was always that threat when you go to her house of, oh my God, she's going to tell Uncle Leander. So there are many different types of mothers, right? My mother was the soft one. My mother, I'm lucky, very, very blessed that I had the mother who was the softest, the sweetest, who was like, don't hit that child. She would not let people hit us. We could not be hit. So forget that stereotype of Black women beating their kids. My mother was like, you don't touch my children. Because her father, actually, in fact, her father taught us that, taught her, and she in turn taught us that children have an intellect. So he knew about the Ori, that children have an intellect. And their intellect will tell them what's right and what's wrong. They always know what's right and what's wrong. Talk to them and help them develop that intellect. So there are different types of mothers. So even though they were raised in the same household, there was Annie Mae, you look at her wrong and she's getting a stick, a broom, a switch, iron, whatever she can find and throwing at you. So there are mothers come in many types. So mothers are to be feared. Yes. I told you that the thing with the EME is that you have to be with Iwa Pele. You have to function with good character. You have to be balanced. So if you're confident that you're that way, then you have nothing to fear. But because we are humans and we do mess up, then there is the punitive side of the mothers. They have full authority on earth to punish whoever they want, to whip whoever they want. But they also have the full authority to love up and forgive. And you wonder, how do sometimes people get away? They're like, how did he get away with that? How did she get away with that? Well, the mothers chose. The mothers made the decision. So they pamper you, but they also can punish you. So there's a basis for it. But of course, anti-Blackness is real. Anti-Blackness is very real. And Christianity and Islam have done a number in terms of demonizing our culture, our religion, our Orisha.
How do we distinguish between destructive spiritual behavior and the mother's responsibility to enforce justice, balance, and consequences? People often speak publicly about Iyami without initiation training or popular cultural understanding. What are the dangers of spreading inaccurate information about them?
Yeah, really, in Ifa says the Ogboni Society, Yoruba culture says the Ogboni Society are those who are really authorized to speak about the mothers. And so if you're not a member of a Ogboni Society, you probably should stay clear about talking about them too much and spreading possible misinformation. Priests and priestesses of Obatala are also close to the mothers. So they have some leeway because Obatala says that all women initiated to Obatala are Ajay, are the what people call the witches, our mothers, the mothers of the night, the elders of the night. There are men who are associated with the elders of the night. They're called Oso. But I would not use the word witch in reference to us. they're primordial beings, and so daughters and sons of Obatala are close to them, and members of the Ogboni society. Can you become a member of Ogboni society? You have to be called. So you can't just wake up one morning and say, I want to be Ogboni. You have to be called to it. And the mothers call who they choose to call. And you may not think they're good enough, smart enough, clean enough, whatever you may think. It doesn't matter what we think. Ogboni shows it. The mothers choose who they want to be called into the Ogboni society.
Mm. Are there subjects concerning the mothers that should be not be discussed publicly? And how do we educate people while still respecting sacred boundaries?
I know. I'll be honest with you. This is a tough one for me because I grew up in the kind of family too where everything was and they saw children coming, they would stop. But I had a strategy. I would suck my thumb. I would suck my thumb, read a book, pull out a book to read. And so I'm looking at the book, I'm sucking my thumb. And so the elders wouldn't notice me, right? They wouldn't notice because I'm quiet. I was a quiet child. You had to suck that thumb, read that book, and sit there quiet. And I got to hear a lot of stuff that children were not allowed to hear. And I have not repeated them. But I always wondered, why does this have to be a secret? This is not a big deal. Such and such is such and such, that's cousin. I don't want to use any real cousin's name. I'm going to make up some names. Michael. I don't think we have any Michael. That's Michael's real dad. His father is not really his dad. It's like, but I mean, like, why shouldn't Michael know who his real dad is? Why shouldn't that? And so, to be honest, I'm not the best person on that because I don't understand. We have a lot of secrecy. But to be honest with you, when word gets out, then people do abuse it, right? There is the fear because the first beings who were created did do massive damage. They did a lot of destruction. And I suppose that's where it came from. Europeans are really good at mimicking. So when they learn our things, next thing you know, they are the masters of it. Ifa is the one who created the binary system of the twos and the one. Twos and the one. Ifa created this binary system, and now it's considered to be a computer system that some European developed. So suppose the wisdom of our ancestors is to keep our things to ourselves because we lose the credit and it gets bastardized.
That's a good. Wow, that's a really good thing when you think about it. That's exactly why because you don't want it to get misconstrued, taken over, bastardized, and turned into something completely other than what it really was. It loses its authenticity
and used against us ultimately.
And used against us. Wow, that's wow. Okay. So let's get into the mothers in modern life. Okay. How does the power of the mothers show up in the lives of women today? Even when those women do not practice traditional African religion, how would we recognize
you don't have to practice this culture for these beings to be. They are primordial beings and they exist. They are just here. I talked about it in my family, how the different types of mothers I had, right? The different types of aunties I had. They knew nothing about African culture, but they knew to be secret. They knew to keep that stuff to themselves. Here in the South, there are all kinds of rules about behavior, how to not sweep on somebody's foot. And if you're sweeping the house, make sure you better not sweep on anybody's foot. That's a rule from the mothers, not to sweep on anybody's foot. And that's something that we practice openly here in the South and hopefully other parts of the country and other parts of the world. Keeping secrets. Every mother teaches their children, shh, don't tell anybody now. My grandmother, I said, used to love to put money in my hand, but it's like, shh. She gave me money, but that doesn't mean she wants to give all the grandchildren money, right? And so if I go around blasting, oh, mama gave me $10, then she got to come up with $10 for everybody else. So
learning how to keep a secret, learning not to tell everything to everybody, right?
Yeah, my grandmother used to also say, the left hand don't need to know what the right hand is doing, right? The left hand don't need to know what the right hand is doing.
So is that a feminine principle?
Yes.
Secrecy is a feminine principle. Wow.
Yes, it is. The secrecy, not sweeping. Trying to think. The black cats. The cats have 9 lives. Those are symbols of the EME. Because remember, these principles are not just in humans; they're in nature too. The full moon, that we all know that God and the full moon take our purses and open it up and ask for the full moon to fill up our purse. That's talking to the mothers. That full moon is the mothers. Fill up our pocketbook. This weekend is a good full moon.
Right. Is it tonight or when is the full moon?
Last night, tonight, and Saturday night. So that's August 27th, 28th, and 29th, 2026.
So if you got put your moon water outside on there and drink it, and set your intentions and all that stuff.
That's right. All of that. So we're practicing it. We're living it, whether we are conscious of it or not.
Right.
Conscious of it or not.
So, what can the mothers teach us about motherhood beyond physically giving birth?
What can the mothers teach us about motherhood? That there are two sides. So there are days when you have to be kind and sweet, and there's a stage. There are stages in life. There's a stage when you have to be kind and sweet and hugging a baby and kissing your baby, and then there are times when you just need to kick him out of the tree, right? Kick that bird out of the tree. It's time for you to fly. It's time for you to use those wings. You've got to fly. And so the mothers teach us that, because the mothers, of course, we don't govern birds, so they're the biggest symbol of the birds. Of the mothers is the birds, and so that mother bird will sit on that egg and nurture it and keep it warm, and then the mother would actually feed the baby out of its mouth. The mother would eat the food. The other bird will eat the food and regurgitate it into the baby's mouth. That's love, chewing it up, making it easy for the baby to digest. Then it gets to the stage where it's like, you got to go now. You're not going to stay up in the
and if you don't learn how to fly, you're going to fall on you and I just have to mourn you and, whatever.
Yes.
You're going to fall out the tree and going to land on the ground. It's going to be over with. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
That's crazy.
I can't keep them in the nest forever. I have to admit, for me, that was difficult. I have 4 daughters. And when the last 2, the twins, went to university, it's like, oh my God, I know they have to go. I know they have to grow up. But I was so attached. I am so attached to them that it was very difficult, but it's part of life, because they will not grow up if they stay up under me. They will not get the education they need. They will not become independent women that they need to be. They will not learn how to make decisions, because if they're here, I'm trying to make the decisions for them, right? But they got on their own. They have to make the decisions. They need to decipher, this is a good person, this is a bad person, because everybody smiling is not a good person, and everybody cursing and shouting is not a bad person. So you need to have the instincts to know the difference between who has good intentions for you. Smiling faces, they don't tell the truth. So they need to learn that lesson. They're not going to learn that lesson under me, because I'm going to be telling them, watch out for that one. Yeah, that one's good. They need to learn it on their own. So I would think that's the greatest example. It's how the mother birds handle their little ones. You can follow them. You can follow that mother bird for a little while, but eventually she's going to kick you out.
Can you break down the archetypes of the feminine? There's different types of women out here. You even talked about it. You said you have that one grandma that was going to be the mean one, the one that's going to give you candy and be loving. Can you break down? Because I'm sure that even in the mothers, right, you have the different archetypes of the mother.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you break that down?
Yeah. So Oshun is everybody's favorite. I think it's a lot of people's favorite. Oshun is the young woman. Oshun is the young mother. I would say Oshun age was like from puberty to say age 25, thereabouts. That's the Oshun stage. And then you have the Yemonja stage, when you become a mother. Then you become fertile, you give birth, and your whole life is raising those children until they turn 18. So that's Yemonja. That's the very nurturing stage of your life, where you're sacrificing everything. I mean, there are times when it's like school is starting, in between husbands. So I had that first husband that I mentioned. I have a husband now that I've been married to for 21 years. But in between there was a time I was by myself. And you get to that store, school is starting, and like you have to get uniforms, you have to get backpacks, you have to get textbooks, you have to get new socks. They want new underwear. They want everything new for the start of the school, pencils, pens, calculators. Oh my God, I don't know how I did it. And I don't know how mothers do it. There are times literally where I have a box of coins, and I'm at the Payless shoe store the day before school starts, night before school starts, and we're at Payless shoe store with this box of coins, and I'm counting out the coins. to make sure that my girls get new shoes because they want to have new shoes for school starting. So that's the Yemanja stage where you're sacrificing everything um, for the growth of your children. And then there's the Oya stage. So that's when you get into more like menopause, I would say. It's more the Oya stage where you're wiser, you're less tolerant, putting up with as much crap as you used to, but still very loyal. My favorite love story, one of my favorite love stories among the Risha, is the story of Oya and Shango. So Oya used to be married to Ogun, and so even though it's Oya, she's still a woman, right? She still wants love, she still wants TLC, but Ogun was working all the time. She's like, Ogun, you're always working. I want somebody to just hug up on me, right? I want somebody to just sit up and be with me, and Ogun's working. And Ogun goes off to work. Oya goes to the marketplace, and she sees Kabiesi. She sees the king. She sees Shango with his wives, with Oshun and with the Yemanja. She sees him with his wives, Oba. And she's like, wow, that's what's up. He's coming to the market. He's the king. And he's coming to the market with them, helping them pick out the okra, the akara, the yams. Like, gee, that is what's up. And she was respectful. She went to his wife. She went to Oshun. It's like, hey, do you think the king is looking for another wife? Because I think he's pretty fine. And they're like, yes, yeah. He's always open to another wife. And so Shango came over and said, hey, I hear you want to talk to me. And I think you're pretty fine too. Because Oshun is given credit as being the most beautiful Orisha. And she is. But Oya is very fine. Oya's got the hips. She got the butt. And so they talk. And they fall in love, and they have, as you know, have the greatest love story. So now, and she moves into the palace. So now Ogun comes back. Hey, where's Oya? Where's my woman? What's going on? Where is she? And he finds out that she's the palace. Of course, he comes knocking at the door. Hey, Kabiesi, give me my woman. Now, Ogun and Shango had been friends, and they had fought many, many battles together. And Shango knew that Ogun would come to get his wife. And Shango also knew all of Ogun's strategy, which is a lot of brute force, that he's just going to break down the door, But Shango knew all of his strategies and was able to overcome him with strategy, with strategic thinking. And Ogun had to give up. It's like, okay, you got her. But you know what, woman? I'm going to curse you. I'm going to curse you. You're never going to have a child with Shango. You go, but you're never going to have a child with Shango. And she didn't. The first set of twins that Shango had, actually one of his other wives had, I think, Yemanja perhaps, or Oshun had these twins, but Oya raised them. So the children that she had with Shango were twins, Ibeji, that she did not give birth to, but she raised. So you know that we have that woman in the community, right, who can never give birth or has never given birth, but she will raise your child for you, right? We all have that in the community. She may not have any kids, but she's going to get Christmas gifts for all the children in the family. She may not have children, but she's the one who's going to give them some money when they go to university, help them fill out those college applications. So that's the Oya prototype. Yemanja's active motherhood. And Oshun really is a mother, but people think of her as this flirty, sensual being, and that's because of the youthfulness. Oshun is the baby of the Orisha. She's the youngest of the Orisha. But even though in her youngness, she was the one that was able to bring Ogun out of the forest. So we know the story of Ogun just got angry with humanity. He went hunting, went to war, and he came back, and they're having a party, Bembe time. They're having a party, and they slaughtered cows and sheep and goat and all this food. And by the time he arrives, everything is gone. The bottles are empty. The palm wine bottles are empty. The gin bottles are empty. Everything he touches, they're all empty. No food, no wine, nothing left for him. So Ogun became very angry, and he just slaughtered everybody in sight. Man, woman, children. He slaughtered them all in sight. And went into seclusion. Ogun's like, I'm better just not dealing with these humans. It's like one thing after the other. He goes into seclusion. So, but of course we need Ogun because Ogun is over technology, over the very computer system that we're using. This is Ogun, over the roads, over the airplanes, the spaceships. We need Ogun. And so Obatala goes, he's the father. The mothers respect Obatala. All the Orisha respect Obatala because of his age, his seniority, because he's the creator, made the earth palatable for us, formed our bodies, and he's wise. So, so of course we're going to send the father in. So he goes in. Ogun's like, no, Baba, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Baba. I'm not going. And Vato plead and beg he wouldn't go in. They sent Yemunja in. This form, Yemunja's his mother. Yemunja's also been his wife. But Yemunja goes in different dimensions, different time periods, right? Yemunja goes and his mother, please, son, we need you. We need you for wars. You know, we need you to be, we need soldiers. We need weapons. We need guns. We need swords. We need you. Like people are just destroying our town because we don't have your protection. He said, no, Mom, I'm not going back. No, yeah, I'm not going back. And finally Oshun said, can I go? Can I go? And they're like, you little girl, sit down. Like we've got that Arugba Oshun in Oshogbo. Young, beautiful young girl. I'm so proud of her. Virgin water bearer. And like, I want to go. And they're like, you're a little thing. You don't know nothing. If Obatala can't get him, Yemunja can't get it. His friend Shango, he was on good terms with Shango at this stage. His friend was like, hey, man, what's up, my dog? Come, we need you. Let's go do the battle together. If Shango can't get him, what are you going to do? And Ifa said, give her a chance. So she goes, and she doesn't talk. She doesn't talk. She rings her bell. She rings her bell soft and sweet. And she just takes the honey and she pours the honey. She dips her feet in the river. And Ogun is looking like, I see that butt. I see those boobs, right? I see it and I want it. And without saying a word, Oshun was able to bring Ogun out of seclusion. So that is an archetype.
Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, so there's so many beautiful stories like that in the Yoruba culture in Isheshe and in the Odu that people don't give it so much credit. It is demonized and so many different things. So I want to ask a closing question. What is the single greatest misconception you would like to correct about the great mothers? And what should people understand before attempting to approach, invoke, or work with them?
Excellent. Great question. I forgot earlier to mention Oba. And Oba's like, hey, what about me? Oba's the homemaker, right? Oba was Shango's wife who kept the palace pristine. And so, that's an architect. That's a feminine archetype, that woman who will keep the house spotless. I have a student every time she comes over here, she kicks the broom, which my house needs it. She takes the broom and she starts sweeping up. She takes the pillows and she starts, fixing them into place. Oba was deceived by Oshun because Oba was like, how do you get Shango's love? Shango always wants to go into your part of the palace. He always wants to go into your Ile. Like, what do you do? And Oshun's like, oh, I have a little secret. Let me tell you the secret. She told that I cut off my ears and I put it in the soup. And so when he eat that egusi and he thinks he's chewing on some meat, it's actually my ear. And really, Oba said, really? That's what you do? She goes, yeah, that's what I do, girl. And she did that. And Shango eating soup and he sees the ear. He's like, what the? You give me your ear to eat? So that didn't go over well, so that's the homemaker, but she's the loyal, fierce, that we talk about those women who like, God, her husband stepped out on her. Her husband had an affair with a maid. Her husband slept with Susie down the street. Her husband slept with Latifa. God, her husband slept with everybody. She stays. That's the Oba woman. She's going to stay to make sure that home is stable for her children. She's like, I don't care what he does. My children are going to have a nice place to live. My children are going to get a private school education. My children are going to go to university. They're going to wear the best clothes. And so if I got to put up with him, I'm going to do that to keep this home secure. That's Oba. Now, to answer your question about the most important thing is to use words such as the mothers, the elders of the night, which are accurate terminology. Those are English words, and that's preferable to invoking the full power of the Iyami Osorongo or the Ajay. Because when you invoke them, you have to make sure that you're functioning with Iwapele. And we don't always, right? We are jealous, we're mean, we talk too much, we reveal the secrets, we don't help out in the house, we don't help out in the community, we do things for credit. We're always on social media. Look at me. Look at me. Look how good I am. Look how smart I am. Right? So we don't always function with Iwa Pele. So you don't want to be invoking those strong energies because they come with love and nurturing, but they could also come with the sword. So that's the most important thing I want to say. You need to have Iwa Pele when you're invoking them because they come with both the sword and with love.
You and depending on how if you what you're coming with, they might cut your head off, or whip your tail with the horse whip,
Yeah, or just kiss up on you, right? Because the mothers also
or
kiss
give you
up
some
on you.
love, right? Which one? So, um, what message do you believe that the mothers have for the world at this moment?
Well, it's clear. So our Odu speaks about it. So in Okitase, they did the reading for the year and they get Osa Elaye. And they said this year, if all times in history, this year you better respect the elderly women, the grandmothers, those cafeteria workers, those bus drivers, those nurses in the hospital. Respect all elderly women. Respect your wife, respect your girlfriend, respect the young girls, respect all women of all ages, and especially those elderly women to give them their props because this is their year. This is our year. From June 2026 to June 2027, this is our year. And as women too, we have a responsibility to respect other women. So we too have to respect those teenage girls. Like, oh, look at that hussy. No, don't call them no hussy. Come on, they're in their Oshun stage, right? So we have the responsibility to respect women in all stages of their lives. Look at her; she put up with all that abuse from that man. I'm not saying I'm not proposing that women put up with abuse. That's not the point talking about. But I'm talking about women who choose to stay with their husband for strategic purposes. That's the Oba type. So we're not. Then there's Oya who went to battle with Shango. She wears the pants. Oh yes, and Loro Shokoto. Ailo dayako, olomo deke, o ayaba, o yade maye mariwo, o ya san loro shokoto. Oh yeah, the queen.
Yeah, that's my mother. Oh
Well,
yeah, that's
that's
my
why I
mother.
sang that song for you. There's thundering and lightning outside where I am.
Oh wow, right.
Yeah, so respect all women. We too, as women, can dog out another woman, can gossip about another woman. I wrote down some of the taboos um, of the mothers, and they were character traits. These things are the things that the mothers despise, and they will destroy you. They will create confusion in your life. They will put obstacles in your path. You think you got that job? You already tell everybody, "Oh yes, I got that job. I'm starting on Monday. I got that job," and then you don't pass the background check. That's the mothers getting in your way. Oh, I'm getting that insurance company. Oh yeah, I had the fire in my house, and I got that insurance money coming. When that insurance money come, I'm taking that vacation, and then the insurance don't come because they're like, well, you left the pot on the stove, and that's why your house burnt down. So the mothers will put these obstacles in your path for these types of people: liars, betrayers, dishonest people, people who like to destroy the lives of others. Okay, so the mothers will get you if you're a liar, a thief, of course, a murderer, if you betray other people, if you are dishonest, and if you destroy the life of other people. So if you want to be on their good side and to be on the good side of your own Ori, right? We have our own God walking on our head. We're walking around with a God on our head, with an Orisha on our head. You please your Ori, you're good with the mothers. Wear white. Speak softly. Speak slowly. Be quiet. Keep the secrets. Be honest. Be helpful. Help without expecting a thing in return. That's love. And knowing that true wealth is not only money. We want that money. Money, 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 money. So you don't want to kill your brother for that money, right? You
Yes.
want to get that money honestly. But wealth is also helping other people and making this world, this Ajay, this earth, a better place. Taking care of the planets, taking care of the plants, watering the plants, not wasting water. Simple thing like brushing your teeth. You could turn that water off while you brush your teeth. That's a simple way to help Ajay, to help Mother Earth. You understand me? So functioning with making sure that your Ori is in good order. And by doing that, you're good with the mothers.
Ashe. Well, this is a beautiful. I can't wait to bring you back again. I really love this presentation that you brought. Um, so the last part is so where can viewers find you and support your work? This is her website. It's called Womanist Journey .com, and she Adeyela Abeji Adeyela, um she has a company called Women in Training Inc., a youth empowerment organization that advocates for menstrual equality. EIA Beijing has led the nonprofit into an internationally recognized organization for advocating for legislation to help end period poverty. In 2024, Alabama Media Group named her among women who shaped the state. Okay. Um, uh, Ibeji Adeyela Bennett is the author of Only the Strong Survive, A Woman's Journey. The anthology is a tribute to mythical and ordinary women who survived tremendous obstacles to leave indelible marks on history. She gathered these stories during her childhood in the Bahamas and 1999 pilgrimage to Nigeria, where she was crowned with the traditional chieftaincy title. Iyalaje Albatala Iya Ibeji studied traditional cultures in Ghana and Mexico. She lived and worked in the United Arab Emirates for 5 years from 2010 to 2025. She earned her bachelor's degree in anthropology from Florida International University in 1985 and is an alumni of the University of Florida and Howard University. She married Bradley Bennett, the editorial director of a civil rights organization. Iya Ibeji is the mother of 4 daughters, Nuola, Moremi, Akinde, and the twins, Brianna and Brooke Bennett. Her brilliant and precious grandchildren are Kinwale and Iniyafe and Iwa. And that is in her organization. Please check her website out here to get more information. Please follow her on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. You can find her links here. I think this are the links to your books here. Oh, yep, the link to her book is right here. You could get all this stuff on her website. So please support her on her website, The Womanist Journey. And much love. And I really appreciate having you on the show. This was a beautiful show. We learned a lot today. I look forward to having you back to talk more about E5. Thank you so much. What are any final thoughts?
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love talking about our culture. I love talking about our traditions. And so I relish this opportunity. I want to thank Baba Abo Falcon, who provided this opportunity for me. He originally was supposed to be on your show and asked me if I can fill in. So thank you so much. Abaru Aboye Aboshishe.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See, if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better. Just know that love and joy and peace is one and all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. That's right. Only you can make the change. Shine your head at you. Shine so bright from darkness to light. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your